This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
And good morning to you. The time right now is 4:27. It is Thursday morning. I'm Lauren Casey. Thanks for joining us on Good Morning Indiana.
And I'm Meredith Barrick. We begin with a call to action from the family of Dejon Reed. Yesterday, they spoke out with their attorney about the answers they are now demanding in his case.
Yeah, they're asking for police transparency in this case. And you know that there's a number of protests being held. Peaceful protests happened last night. And so part of that has to do with what happened in Minnesota, but part of that has to do with what happened here a few weeks ago. So we're going to hear more from the family of that individual and more about what they're demanding. Also, the police chief here, Randall Taylor, did call for a special prosecutor in this case, so we'll be keeping you updated on that this morning. Something else we are talking about today is the forecast. You may be waking up to thunder rumbling in our area. We can hear it, Meredith, outside of the studio here.
And I know on my drive in from Hamilton County, a lot of bright lightning out there. So if you have plans for today, you're going to want to keep a check at our forecast. Meteorologist Todd Clausen just came in here to the studio, and we'll have more on that in a minute. We do want to take a look, though, at the COVID numbers for this Thursday morning. 511 new cases and 10 new deaths here in the Hoosier State.
Yeah, and so you can see some of the new numbers here. The rate of the deaths has decreased since the day before. The rate of the new cases, however, has increased. The positivity rate, based on those tested and how many come back positive, has been slowly decreasing over the past few weeks or so. It's at a little bit less than 13% right now. So we're going to break down those numbers and let you know a little bit more about what this means for us here in Central Indiana as we continue to rebound out of this pandemic. And more things are opening up. And with all the protests going on where people are really in close contact, a lot of them wearing masks, we're going to see how that impacts the numbers here in Central Indiana.
And finally, we have a great story to bring you. University of Indianapolis students growing produce to help with food deserts. We know this is a major problem here in the Circle City. Yeah,
so Stephanie Wade is going to tell us how UIndy students are working to bring that fresh produce to people right here on the south side who are in need. We know the pandemic has really exacerbated these issues with food insecurity and people needing things. So this is a really cool program. We're going to break it down as part of our Rebound Indiana initiative here at RTV6. We'll have that story plus news, weather, and your traffic updates coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
As the protests continue in Indianapolis, calls are growing louder to get questions answered in the death of Dejon Reed. The demand for justice and accountability from police.
Well, 3 more officers have been charged in the death of George Floyd. We've got the very latest investigation on what's next for the protesters all across our country.
And a coronavirus vaccine could be just a few months away. This morning, the encouraging update from Dr. Anthony Fauci.
We do want to wish you a good morning here. It is Thursday. It is 4:30. Thanks for joining us on Good Morning Indiana.
And it looks like meteorologist Todd Clausen is going to kick things off for us. You're probably hearing that thunder rumble outside, Todd. We are going to have these storms all throughout our day.
You know, off and on, they're going to be with us here throughout the day. You're exactly right, Meredith. The difference is as we get into the afternoon hours, probably a little more isolated than this solid band of rain that is now making its way through the area. Nothing severe out there, but some pretty heavy rainfall is falling across parts of Central Indiana. The heaviest of the rain is now off to our west here. Crawfordsville to Vetersburg, Rockville to Greencastle. Look at the lightning strikes here as well. We'll come into the metro area, and you notice a few lightning strikes just to the west of downtown. Those are the ones we are hearing at the RTV6 studios. And then you see the heavier rain extending up to Carmel, back into portions of the Pendleton area. This will all start to sink slowly down to the south. There were a couple warnings earlier this morning out in parts of Illinois with this cluster of storms. They have weakened. So if we do see any warnings here this morning, I'm expecting flood warnings or flash flood warnings. We'll talk all about this and track it hour by hour for you and look ahead to the rest of this very warm and muggy day coming up in just a few minutes. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you. We'll continue to keep you updated on what's happening on the roads in terms of the weather, but this is a look at what you can expect as you head into the downtown area. Again, you'll have the wet roads out there, as you can see from our camera here at I-65 West Street and MLK. You can hear the rumbles of thunder, and you'll probably see some lightning. So just use caution as you're heading out there. Watch for any ponding. We are monitoring just a few issues on your roads. We'll continue to keep you updated on an issue we're monitoring from the overnight hours northbound I-65 all the way up near State Road 32, an overturned semi there closing the interstate. That's a similar spot to where we had an issue yesterday, traffic being diverted onto US 52. So that's something we'll monitor if you're on 65. We will keep you updated on any other issues throughout the morning.
Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hunks had announced an updated curfew policy for Marion County. The order was not extended for last night or tonight. It will be reinstated Friday and Saturday nights for safety reasons. City leaders are anticipating large demonstrations and do not want a repeat of last weekend's violence and damage. For a sixth day in a row, hundreds of people gathered and marched through downtown Indianapolis yesterday.
And the peaceful protest started in the afternoon. It lasted into the evening. Crowds chanted the names of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Dre'Jon Reed. Reed was shot and killed by an IMPD officer during a reported exchange of gunfire last month. Protesters we spoke to say that they're echoing the calls of Reed's mother, who's asking for more transparency and answers from the department and our city leaders.
And the mayor came out and he made 2 press conferences because of the looting and destruction that's going on in the city. And he mentioned Minneapolis and he mentioned George Floyd. God rest George Floyd's soul, but that's not why Indianapolis is doing all the looting. That's not why it's destruction. It's because it's corruption on our streets and our police department. That's why Indianapolis is in shambles. That's why downtown is boarded up, because you haven't spoke on Dre'Jon Reed, and that's the problem.
Well, protesters say they will be out again today, beginning at 4 o'clock.
Hundreds of doctors also came together last night rallying for racial justice. The White Coats for Black Lives rally in March brought together medical professionals who vowed to do their part to end systemic racism in health care.
Racism is a public health crisis, and we just feel like as physicians, it's our obligation to kind of make a stand.
If you think you have never made a decision that was based or impacted by implicit bias, you have not examined your practice closely enough.
Organizers of the event say they've seen the impact of racial disparities in health care on the underprivileged and underserved. They say it is their duty to examine and change the system.
And so we previously mentioned that the protesters here in Indianapolis say they're fighting for justice alongside Dre'Jon Reed's mother, who you see here, Dimitri Wynn. Tears ran down her face as she spoke about seeing her son's body after he was killed.
They couldn't fix his face. They tried. That's how much damage was done to his face alone.
Investigators say that 21-year-old Reed led police on a chase and then exchanged gunfire with an officer, but the family's attorney strongly refutes that claim.
I'm here to say to you today, unequivocally, that Dre'Jon Reed, Sean Reed, did not shoot a gun, did not point a gun, did not brandish a gun at an officer.
I'm not perfect, but who is? Which one of you have ever done something you know you shouldn't have done? You can't tell me you perfect. If you tell me you perfect, then you're lying. Just like IMPD is lying.
IMPD Chief Randall Taylor has called for an immediate appointment of a special prosecutor in the Reed case, which the Marion County prosecutor requested back on May 8th.
All 4 officers involved in the killing of George Floyd are now arrested and charged, something protesters had been pushing for over a week. Demonstrators praising the development, but taking to the streets again overnight in their fight for broader change. ABC's Inez de la Catera is in Washington with more.
This morning, a step towards justice.
All 4 officers have been charged!
This crowd in Minneapolis erupting as word spread that all 4 fired Minneapolis police officers are now charged in connection to George Floyd's death.
We got all 4! We got all 4!
Derek Chauvin, the officer seen with his knee on Floyd's neck, now facing upgraded 2nd and 3rd degree murder, along with manslaughter charges, while the other 3 officers are being charged with aiding and abetting.
They need to make an example of these 4 cops so these other cops will think about doing that again.
Tens of thousands still peacefully taking to the streets, arguing they've still got work to do.
For African Americans, justice comes in a drizzle when it should come in a thunderstorm.
In Denver overnight, protesters lighting up their cell phones. In Washington, singing to express their sorrow. And in Connecticut, a mock funeral procession.
People said, why a funeral procession? Why this? It's the symbolism. So it's George Floyd today, but it represents every black man and woman who has died senselessly and unjust.
But there were still some clashes. At least 60 people arrested in New York City. In California earlier, peaceful protesters nearly run down after a car barreled through their march.
Starting today, a number of memorial services will be held for Floyd around the country. His funeral will be held next week in Houston. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News, Washington.
The time right now is 4:37. We want to turn now to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic here in the state of Indiana. The number of new COVID-19 cases in our state has increased, but the number of new deaths, it's down. The Indiana State Department of Health reporting 511 new cases since the start of the pandemic. 35,712 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with the virus so far. There are 10 new COVID-19 deaths, and that's 36 fewer deaths than that were reported on the day before. 2,032 people in Indiana have died from the coronavirus. More than 277,000 people in our state have been tested for the virus, and so that's less than 13% of them now testing positive. There's some good news to share with you this morning. The coronavirus vaccine could be just a few months away. Dr. Anthony Fauci says the vaccine is being developed by Moderna, and it should be ready for its final phase of testing by mid-summer. That would involve giving the vaccine to about 30,000 people between the ages of 18 and 55. They will also test its effectiveness on some elderly and people with underlying health conditions. If those trials go well, 100 million doses of the vaccine will be available by the end of the year.
Here at 4:38, another hugely popular summer event falls victim to coronavirus. Indianapolis now joins other communities in canceling 4th of July fireworks and related events. The organizers of the Downtown Freedom Fest announced the decision on social media. They said social distancing, public health concerns, and finances were the main factors in the decision.
Former President Barack Obama says he's optimistic the recent protests across the country will lead to positive change. Straight ahead, his message to young people participating in this movement.
And the largest movie theater could be out of business soon. Coming up, why AMC says it may never recover from the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. Todd.
And it's an active morning here across central Indiana on the Storm Team 6 alert day as we're dealing with non-severe thunderstorms moving through. The stronger storms are off to our west, but some rocking and rolling here this morning through central Indiana. We'll talk all about it coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now is 4:39. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on RTV6.
Visit the Hiring Hoosiers job board.
Welcome back. It is 4:42. We are monitoring a traffic alert right now for drivers in the Boone County area traveling northbound on I-65. This is your view near US 52. Same spot that we had a closure yesterday morning. So this is what you need to expect. The northbound lanes are closed at US 52. Two semis involved in a crash near this area. So they are diverting traffic off onto US 52, which runs alongside the interstate. You can reconnect there with I-65 near State Road 28. We will continue to monitor this scene and keep you updated. You can see it's a busy scene, and we also have the rain on the roads, so use caution as you're heading out there.
Today, the 3 suspects accused in Ahmaud Arbery's death will be in court. And this will be the first court appearance for Gregory McMichael, his son Travis McMichael, and William Roddy Bryan Jr. Gregory and Travis McMichael were arrested last month in the February shooting death of Arbery. They face murder and aggravated assault charges. Bryan, the man who recorded the incident, is facing felony murder charges. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp is putting a strong law enforcement presence around the courthouse. He says he does not want any bad actors to disrupt the hearings.
Well, former President Barack Obama delivered a hopeful speech while speaking at a town hall on Wednesday. Here, the first African-American president took part in the town hall discussion with a nonprofit group that he founded. It's called My Brother's Keeper Alliance. Other attendees include former Attorney General Eric Holder, Minneapolis City Council member Felipe Cunningham, and several community activists. Speaking to those concerned about the ongoing protests, Obama said our country was founded on them.
Just remember, this country was founded on protest. It is called the American Revolution. And every step of progress in this country, every expansion of freedom, every expression of our deepest ideals has been won through efforts that made the status quo uncomfortable.
Well, the former president also urged young people to not only participate in the protests, but to become politically active as well.
A policy change in Lincoln, Nebraska caused officers and protesters to break out and dance. This was the scene outside the Malone Community Center Wednesday afternoon. The group dancing to the Cupid Shuffle after Lincoln Police Chief Jeff Blymeister announced the Hold Cops Accountable initiative. HCA will facilitate a monthly meeting with officers and community members. Community members will be able to publicly voice compliments, complaints, concerns, or commendations concerning the Lincoln Police Department. The HCA committee will be made up of community members, local law enforcement officials, and members of the Mayor's Multicultural Advisory Committee. Here at 4:45 on your Thursday morning, Todd, a lot going on out there.
Yeah, and that's why it is a Storm Team 6 alert day for us today for the showers and storms that are making their way through the area. Nothing severe here this morning. I know many of you probably have heard the thunder or seen the lightning flashes out your window, but it's just some thunderstorms moving through with some heavy rainfall. And the heaviest of the rain and the most lightning strikes right now are moving through the Greencastle area right along 231 here as it works its way from south to north throughout the entire county. Look at all those lightning strikes and the real heavy rainfall. This does impact I-70 as well, so there could definitely be a little bit of ponding on the roadways. That could be an issue for you if you have to get out on the roads here this morning. We're losing most of the lightning here in the downtown area. There's one lightning strike south of Plainfield, but you notice some pockets of heavier rain from Indianapolis north towards Zionsville, down towards Beech Grove there too, where 465 and 74 come together. And then it's lighter rain as you work your way off towards the east, Winchester down into the Richmond area, and some lighter rain down in Nashville and Bloomington. But this heavier rain will continue to sag down to the south as we work our way throughout the course of the morning hours. So you notice really kind of two directions, that north to south movement with the band of rain, but embedded in that you notice this heavier storm that I mentioned in Greencastle. That one is kind of moving off towards the east. So it's a combo of this one moving to the east, this one moving south, but the ultimate progression for this line should be for it to slide further and further south throughout the course of the morning hours. These are flood warnings that are posted right along the state line. It does include Covington, Rockville, down into the Terre Haute area. I wouldn't be shocked if we get a couple more aerial flood warnings across the area this morning as this heavier rain moves through. We'll avoid all this, though. That should bypass us down to the south. And once this goes through, we'll get a little bit of a break from the precipitation for a little while here throughout the day today, but it's very warm. It's very muggy, so it's not going to take much to flare up additional thunderstorms here throughout the day. So even as we progress throughout the day today, we are going to have to keep them in the forecast. Unfortunately, they probably become a little more numerous later on this evening once we get into the peak heating of the day. And then by 9 o'clock, they're pushing down to our south. And eventually, we'll usher in a new air mass for the weekend. It's just going to take us a little while to get there. 60s and 70s this morning. It's warm and muggy, as I mentioned, throughout the day today. We'll break out into a little bit of sunshine here or there. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 80s today, although it's going to feel warmer than that with the humidity. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, a great stretch of weather. Just got to be patient here the next couple days. The humidity comes down as well with temperatures in the 80s. The next week, we'll have to watch Tropical Storm Cristobal. Could throw a little bit of a wrench in our forecast by midweek.
All right, Todd, thank you. Here is a look right now at a traffic alert we're monitoring up in Boone County. You can see the flashing lights there. This is I-65, the northbound lanes at US 52. The interstate is closed. 2 semis involved in a crash in this area. So about 19 hours ago, Boone County Sheriff tweeted that they had reopened this exact same area after a semi crash. Well, now, just about an hour ago, they've closed it again for those 2 semis crashing. So we're going to be checking in and see if there are any safety issues in that area. But just something to keep in mind, you will have to be diverted off onto US 52 if you're continuing northbound through the Lebanon area and north of that. Plan ahead, give yourself that extra time to take the detour.
The U.S. government plans to block Chinese airlines from flying into the country for now. The move is in response to a policy that has prevented U.S. carriers from providing service between the two nations, according to the White House. The TSA says the Chinese government is preventing United and Delta Airlines from resuming transoceanic flights. United, Delta, and American suspended service to China, and the U.S. government also set up travel restrictions in response to to the coronavirus pandemic. The restrictions take effect June 16th, but President Trump can enact them sooner.
At 4:49, the Congressional Budget Office says it could take most of the next 10 years for the U.S. economy to recover from the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. The office predicts that the economic output will decline by $7.9 trillion, or 3% of the GDP during the next decade. The CBO says that a lot of it is uncertain and it's forecast because the course of the pandemic is unknown. It's also not clear how the economy will respond.
More movie nights could become stay-at-home events. AMC, the world's biggest movie theater chain, says it has substantial doubt it can stay in business. The theater chain says it currently has enough money to reopen this summer or later, but they aren't sure beyond that. AMC has been forced to close theaters around the world because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, the coronavirus is having a huge impact on county fairs here in Indiana and how they're going to operate this summer. So all new at 5 o'clock, we're taking a look at how the local fairs are working to accommodate those changes. It is 4:50. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, noodles and sauce in almost any combo. It's something that just about everyone can enjoy, and even better when someone else is doing the cooking.
Now there's a new place in Westfield where you can build almost any kind of macaroni and cheese your heart desires. Brad Brown's loading up on carbs in Hamilton County.
The area near Westfield's Grand Park is growing exponentially by the week, and the newest restaurant on this stretch of State Road 32 is ready to feed those crowds.
It's been a dream of ours for almost a year, so to finally have the doors open, it's just a breath of fresh air. It's really nice.
Liz Griffin and her husband Matt are the team leading the crew at I Heart Mac and Cheese. After 2 decades in law enforcement, the couple was ready to take on the challenge of opening their own business.
He got the idea on Entrepreneur Magazine, and the light bulb went off. There's nothing around here like this restaurant. And, you know, with Grand Park opening in Westfield and me being an officer here in the city, the light bulb went off, and it was a good fit.
We thought about it, prayed about it, and ultimate decision was not to hit the pause button and push through. And we're very happy that we did.
What came out of it is this first-of-its-kind concept in the Midwest. The menu is built around mac and cheese, and they've really got something for everyone.
They can come in and they can get a broccoli bowl, or they can get a cauliflower bowl. We have vegan, and we also have gluten-free options.
From the different proteins, from meatballs to short rib to pulled pork, grilled chicken, crispy chicken, ham, pepperoni, the list goes on.
Start with pasta noodles or quinoa, even tater tots, then multiple sauces, veggies to add, more cheese to include, thousands of potential combos when you build your own. From the basic mac to luxurious lobster with white truffle oil. And then there's the best of both worlds.
I mean, who would have thought macaroni and cheese on a grilled cheese sandwich?
That's right. You can stuff your mac and cheese creation between buttery slices of Texas toast for the ultimate carb-on-carb feast. The whole thing is a can't-miss formula in the right place at the right time.
We can't be happier. And we've got 4 kids and another one on the way. And so it's going to be a very, very busy summer, but one that's going to be so enjoyable.
Love Westfield, love the community, love the people, love all the city officials. So this was the perfect home for us.
All right, looks good as always there, Brad. All right, this morning it's a Storm Team 6 alert day. Many of you probably have heard the thunder at some point throughout the overnight hours. Now it's the early morning hours, and we continue to have these thunderstorms moving through central Indiana. The strongest storms are now approaching the Danville area and portions of Hendricks County. These are heading right towards downtown Indianapolis. We'll have to continue to deal with this rain for a few more hours this morning, and then everything becomes a little more spotty later on this afternoon. We'll talk more about it coming up in the next hour of Good Morning Indiana. The time now is 4:57. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.